we are back. Now I got some good and some bad news. The bad news is I got a cold, which makes my lovely voice a tiny bit deeper and rougher than it already is. The bad news is I already played with this character actually for an hour, but the audio settings screwed up, meaning the stereo mix volume got set to 0 automatically. I don't know why. So I recreated the character and will do this stuff again. The advantage is that this means I already know here which quests gives me what stuff, which speeds up the gameplay a bit. The downside is that I am not 100% sure with what I already told you and what not, so I might leave out interesting stuff or repeat the boring part, I'm not sure. So our first priorities, did I mention that the graphics are not set to the maximum? The reason is that the only really annoying bug right now for me is that when I crank up the graphics to the maximum, the game crashes sometimes. And this here is the cooking. Is it the cooking trainer? Well, it's some cooking NPC who gives me, if I quest for him, skill books in cooking and some money and experience. And here are some nature workshop, and she gives me nature skill books if I quest for her, which is actually rather important and one of our priorities, because I want to get a mount rather quickly, to move faster, to have additional backspace because of the saddlebags and so on. And for that I need an untrained horse, which I have to buy, and I need a bridle, which I can buy as well, or craft, and I want to craft it. So I will do some quests for the nature NPC there, to get some nature skill books. I could also buy the skill books, but that would cost me money, and I need money for the mount as well. Here I can set up a rabbit trap for another character. Oh, I got already a skill book about refined bandages, and that's nice. As well as healing drugs and incredibly tasty dog food. Here we got some tools for the different professions, as well as some ragged cotton, which I could use to create armor if I would get some reserves, or bandages. Mission stuff is the rabbit trap for the one guy who wanted me to set it up here. What's this? Disease cure. And some ammunition. Well, I said I would try to get a mount rather quickly. In the end I want to go in melee combat with this character, but since I already started with some ranged weapons, I will use up the ammunition first, and once I'm out of ammunition I will switch to melee combat. Now, this is a crafting town, which means most rewards are skill books and not any items directly. And it's also a town which seemed to be into ranged combat, so if I want some better melee weapons I have to do the stuff myself. Ah, here's the town where I have to check. Each starting town has its own story. The story in this town here is that there's some family who owns a part of the town, it seems, and started some mining business nearby. And there are already a bunch of guys from the Vista faction who are, as I think I mentioned it before, who are environmentalists of some sort, and who really dislike the mining operations nearby, so there are quite some quarrels here. Getting the mount soon is also a nice idea, because even once I have all the recipes and components, it will take a while for me to craft the bridle, so I can craft it while I do other quests. Once you bring a tainted eggs and tainted water, I can do that. As said, since I already did a good bunch of the quests before when the audio screwed up without me noticing, I know now where to go, which has its ups and downs. Oh, I should, I said the game is classless, so everyone starts out the same apart from the looks. But for certain quests and every 10% of a level you achieve, you get advancement points which you can spend. You have trade skills, like armor crafting, ballistics, cooking, medicine, mutagenics and all that stuff. And you increase those by actually crafting stuff, but the maximum of those skills depends on intelligence and perception. So if you want to go into crafting, you have to put points into intelligence and perception. Those are attributes like endurance, strength, willpower, coordination, etc. And they are rather expensive to increase. 1 point you want to increase an attribute here requires you to spend 5 of your earned advancement points. And finally there are also skills like dodge, first aid, melee, pistol, rifle, social and so on. And those can be increased as well by spending points, where 1 point you want to increase it is also costs only 1 point of those advancement points you have. But again, the maximum depends on other stuff. Like if I want to go for melee, then the maximum depends on to 50 to 75% on my strength and 25% on my coordination. So I will first add some point to melee because I want to mainly do that. But I want to also put points into intelligence, so I can increase my harvesting skills rather quickly to around 30. So I have 2 points left for doing the other quests here, and I guess I will save that for... I'll put them into... I need, I said 5 points increase now, so I'll put those into athletics. The game you can play in, it has a combat mode like this, where the mouse cursor vanishes, turns into a targeting cross, and you look always exactly where you are pointing the cross. And the other mode of game is the normal game mode, where you can move the mouse cursor around freely. Normally I go for that works this way. If you go for range combat, the game is a bit like a first-person shooter, including headshots. So you actually have to aim. I'm not sure though if the headshot stuff also works on non-humanoids. I don't know if you can headshot one of these chickens. I guess it doesn't work because their head is fairly large, but maybe they have other sections I can hit to achieve the same effect, which would be always a critical strike. But up to now it doesn't look that way.